The Sound on Sound team travelled to just outside picturesque Bath to visit Real World Studios, a residential recording complex built by Peter Gabriel in the 1980s.
I'm Dickie Chappell, and I'm Peter Gabriel's engineer here at Real World Studios. I'm sitting in the writing room, which is Peter's personal studio space. Real World's built on this performance space idea. It's all about having the console in the middle of the room or in the centre of the way of working. So you can have talkback, you can have separate spaces, but you're encouraged to work in the room together. And you as an engineer are challenged to not let the technical process get in the way of the creativity. The big room, for example, you can have a whole band set up in there. We've done maybe three drum kits in that space together. Drummer can move from different areas. The bass player has all his basses, all his gear, guitar player. Peter has all his gear, all his keyboards. It's a big performance space, and in the centre of that is this SSL console. So you can be there working, you all talk to each other. It just makes it really, really fast and a different way of working. And a lot of people have come here. I saw it initially, people were kind of scared of that, like, well, where's the separate space? So you can separate off with booths and stuff, but people really started to understand that that was a much better way of working.
You can immediately see when someone's comfortable in the studio how much better their performance is. Obviously the setting is incredible to write music. Like, it's almost as important as the gear we have in here in terms of people getting into their mental headspace that they need to write music and to record music. I think the musicians playing in the same space as the control room as well means that they automatically feel involved in the recording side of it too, which is kind of exciting for everyone to do, but like, it just makes everything feel like it's more cohesive as a team.
There's none of that, like, oh, quickly let's make things sound a little bit better before they come in the room. It's just like, play, and then we're kind of all dealing with it together, which is quite nice. You know, immediately is like, okay, this doesn't sound quite right. There's none of that hiding away, which is definitely something we learn here.
It also means that you focus on the performance when the recording is actually happening. It forces you to make decisions early on, which can be a great thing.
So the writing room here is like a smaller example of that, where we have a central position here where I'm sitting. This is Peter's area. He likes to create and work from here. Then I sit in front, and also Faye, our assistant, sits at the side. So it's essentially three systems that work here, the way that we put things together. So Peter's got independent control over his sounds, talks to us. I record stuff on a multi-track at the front through Pro Tools. Peter's got various doors here that he works from, and then Faye will sit there and she's recording separately on another separate Pro Tools system for stereo. The way that we work with Peter is quite different to a lot of other people now. Whenever he's in the room, we're always recording. It's an essential part of the way we work. So we have a notebook system, a stereo system that's always running. So as soon as he's entered the room, you hit record on one system, and that's always taking in what's going on. So we've got live mics in the room, we've got the output of the console, and it's always capturing stuff. So you can come up to the piano, you can come up to a keyboard, start with an idea, did you get that? And we've got it, and it's recorded, and we can play it back. So it's all about keeping the process going. My job is to capture the moment. When you do get it, you've nailed it because you have been recording. It's an amazing feeling to capture that. So yeah, we've got a bunch of keyboards here that they're just on. We've got a Prophet 5, got a Moog, got a couple of Korgs, things we really like. The Wave State we've just got recently, and we've got a lovely guy over in California who's part of the Korg team that's helping us develop some more sounds for that. And then the Kronos here is our main kind of workstation. And we've got a ton of DAW stuff going on. Peter's more like manipulating samples when it comes down to it and having effect control over that, you know, just to get something else happening from that sound.
This is the woodroom at Real World. It's 3 stories high. It's got windows, so like all the other studios, has a lot of natural light coming in, which is a big part of what makes Real World quite special. The woodroom's also like a great place to have like little mini concerts. Obviously, the big room has a stage. The woodroom has a mezzanine level that you can stand on and look down on the performers, which is kind of cool. It's got a much warmer and slightly longer reverb tail than the big room, and as a result, it's become very popular with a range of music from classical to jazz, as well as, you know, pop producers working in here as well. It can be used with the big room next door, so it can form one big studio, big room and woodroom, or it can be set up independently with its own control room within the room itself, working everyone in one unified space. So again, like the rest of the rooms, it's very flexible in terms of what you can do. It has a solid state Logic 924 Delta, with a BCM 10 here, which often gets used for either summing or for its mic amps, for the 1073 mic amps. And then there's a bunch more Neve outboard as well. Yeah, as with all the studios, emphasis is always on making it really easy for other engineers to use, making it really easy for musicians. As with the big room next door, it has our live mix foldback system. So we can send up to 24 channels of individual audio stems so musicians can control their own mixes entirely. Really helps with setup speed and really helps with musicians being able to like control exactly what they're listening to all the time. The woodroom has a Bosendorfer 170 CS grand piano, which was actually bought by Peter to go on tour with, and when he's not on tour it lives in this room and it sounds beautiful in here. And then we've just got various synths and keyboards that float around the studios. The Hammond, for example, the Rhodes, Filicorder, the upright piano, all of these things that are just kind of available in any session, together with like a big selection of amplifiers, both old and new, and guitars. Dante's becoming more and more part of what we do here as we try and interconnect the studios better, make our workflows quicker, but also make sure that we're kind of providing the highest quality audio around the studio. So this room was our first Dante space based around Focusrite interfaces. It's still Pro Tools HDX, and yeah, the plan is to allow this room to interconnect via Dante with the red room and the big room to basically continue to allow more flexible setups. We're really fortunate in that we have an amazing collection of microphones that have been acquired from over the years. We've kind of got all of the classics that you'd imagine: 47, 67, 49, 251s, old 414s, old 87s. And then we've tried to keep up to date, so we've bought some new microphones as well, like the Extinct Audio. We've got a pair of BM9s, the new Audio Technica 5047. I think like it's important to have a balance, but obviously when clients come to a studio like this, they're often looking for stuff that they don't have at home. So being able to offer microphones that sound incredible and have been well maintained by having a tech on site, it means we're kind of in a unique position that we can offer microphones that are 50 years old but sound incredible.
With audio equipment, people are very keen to keep things original, and in some cases you can just find a version of the exact thing that broke and put it in. But that's not always the best way to fix a problem. Sometimes it's better to think about the future and think about how can I keep this this piece of heritage equipment, which is how I kind of consider a lot of the equipment here. It's heritage gear, it's not made anymore, and it's not going to be made again. And the new equipment that's coming through isn't really substituting this equipment. Like things like the RMX 16s or whatever, when people stop fixing them, no one's going to make a reverb that's like that again, because why the hell would they? It's crazy. Such a complicated thing. A bit of research, just thinking creatively, and to a certain extent you will always be able to keep these bits of gear alive, and that's really kind of the root of my philosophy. It's how can I keep this really great, awesome piece of equipment that everybody loves and makes really great records. How can I keep it going forever? What do I need to, if it's broken now and this old transistor that you can't get hold of anymore is broken, well, what can I do that's a modern equivalent that will work just as well, or maybe better, and help it live even longer? Luckily, this place has got a lot of the documentation that you can need. With the tape machines like the Studer and the Ampex machines that we have, they come with amazing manuals. And those manuals will tell you how to do anything you need to do in that machine.
This is the Red Room. It's a White Mark designed room. It's designed to be a writing space. It's designed to be a production space, maybe for 2 or 3 people, and also like to bury your head in the kind of small sonic details of a project. It sounds amazing. We've kind of chosen all our favorite gear to go in here. The studio is designed to be an in-the-box mixing space. We found that most of the people that we work with and most of the projects we work on will work in the box. However, of course, it's really important to have access to that analog equipment as well. So we've added some SSL and Neve summing. We've added a bunch of outboard, and of course we can bring in any outboard from Real World's extensive collection to kind of aid a mix through. The most important thing for me when it comes to mixing is your monitoring. And that's why we selected Grace Design monitor controller for the conversion and the control side, and ATC 45As as the main loudspeakers in here. A few years ago, we put in a video system. It allows you to use any camera in the building to any monitor in the building, and any Pro Tools screen to any monitor, to allow you to work with people in another room but feel like you're there. And we've got that down close to 0 latency as well. So you can have a singer and a drummer, or a conductor and an orchestra in separate spaces but still feeling like they're in the same space. And again, like if we wanted to give the conductor of the orchestra the second Pro Tools screen, in the past that would have been a bit of a nightmare, running HDMI over Cat5 or whatever. Now we plug in a screen into the wall, press 2 buttons, and they've got our Pro Tools screen up.
Gonna lift you up, loving God. Gonna lift you up, loving God. Gonna lift you up, loving God.
The Red Room had to be an immensely flexible space for us in order for it to work. So as well as doing music production and overdubbing and mixing in here, we're also using it as a voiceover room, an ADR room. And finally, there's a broad range of clients that work at Real World that want to just turn up and plug in their laptop and get going. So it's also possible in here to walk in with a laptop, plug it in over one Thunderbolt 3 cable, and be straight up and running with all the connectivity you'd expect. You kind of have to cater for a lot of different requirements from different projects. And we've got a lot of experience in working with jazz bands one day and hip hop records the next and pop records the day after. So we kind of took that learning and tried to put it all into this room. The Red Room to me feels like a way of accessing Real World, accessing the beautiful surroundings, the nature, the team that work here. But of course, being smaller, it's also more affordable to a lot more people. Is a space that's hopefully more accessible to more people.
That's all for now. If you like what you saw, please be sure to like and share it, and subscribe and click the bell icon so you know when we upload new content to our YouTube. Also find us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching.